You're retro trekking with the Caramel Apples, a podcast that dials up thoughtful, heartwarming nostalgia of all things great and retro in the golden era of pop culture and beyond. This week, we're going a little off-road in the orchard, discussing a topic that's familiar and as old as time.
Pun intended.
Now here's your hosts, Kennedy Rizzo and Cooper Lee. Welcome back, Orchard Archivers. We are always so happy to have you join us. This week's topic is one that will be very interesting, we're sure. But be sure to check us out on the Gram, TikTok, and X. Feel free to visit our YouTube channel and our official website, www.retrotrekcaramelapples.com.
Woohoo! So that was a nice entry into our episode this week. As Coop said in the intro, we are going a little bit off-road this week. And it's good timing, actually. Again, pun intended, because we're talking about something that's very familiar, yet it's become nearly controversial over the years for some, which we'll get into that here in a bit. But that's about the subject of daylight savings time.
Yeah.
Love it or hate it, it has been happening year after year. You know, we can tell when it starts getting lighter in the spring, preparing for the summer months. You know, some of us get super excited about that. And then as the year moves along, we near fall time, which we're getting close to that, or actually we're kind of in it. And the days are getting shorter, and you can sleep a little longer in the mornings if you're fortunate.
That's right. That's right. And it's really interesting, too, about how daylight savings time actually works, because you have the spring equinox and you have the fall equinox, and they seem to be pretty close, like dead even with the amount of time during the year. But it's interesting that daylight savings time in the spring seems like it's right around the spring equinox, but the fall equinox seems to be quite a few weeks before daylight savings time in the fall time. It's like a few weeks forward. I don't know. It's like there's only 4 months of that, and then there's like 6 or 7 months. I don't know. But there's less time for the fall time darkness. I thought that was interesting.
That's very interesting. I don't even know, because I mean, that's kind of stuff, all the stuff in nature with the stars and everything. Like, it's like that's all weirdly interconnected, like it's a deep rabbit hole if you really sit down and try to comb and study some of the semantics of it. But
yeah,
we do benefit or enjoy certain aspects of that, what we do understand. And, just really here in a couple of weeks, we're going to be dealing with the fallback.
right.
That's quickly approaching. So, as Coop says, the twice annual changing of the clocks will happen a couple Sundays from now. And it's based on the equinox, the fall spring equinox. But when we fall back, clocks traditionally go back an hour. And it is observed by a lot of people here stateside. Not even, they're certain in the central time zone. I don't think they mess with their clocks. That's kind of as long as we can remember. But then, like in March, if they still decide to do this, like they'll spring the clocks forward an hour. So it'll be lighter earlier in the morning and all that stuff. So I don't know about you, Coop. I guess I thought that was almost like a natural, what they call it, circadian rhythm or whatever. I didn't really know that somebody was pushing buttons on that. Like I didn't want, I don't know, until like a few years, I think it was back in like 07, 08 at work.
Mm-hmm.
With some people we worked with, they were talking about that was an experimental year where they weren't going to mess with the clock's fall back.
Oh, really? I don't remember that.
No, because I was flabbergasted. I says, "What do you mean? Who's doing what?" I'm like, "That just kind of happens." This just shows that
Uh,
some of us are just like walking drones. We go through the day to day.
well, but you're talking about something like we said is tale as old as time, as far as we were concerned. As long as we've been on the planet, we've been doing it. So for them to change it up here and there, you're going, wait, what step did I miss? When did that happen?
Yeah.
We can remember it even in school. So yeah, I mean, you're talking about something that's very familiar. So it is eye opening when you find out that, maybe it's not as it appears sometimes.
Yes. Yes, I was shocked by that. We had a nice conversation about that. That year, they actually, one of those years, and if any of you Orchard Archivers remember that, hit us up. Hit us up on social media and let's start this discussion, or leave the comments in our YouTube comment section. But seriously, I mean, I didn't realize anybody was screwing with that. So it was like, and then they didn't that year, but then the very next year, that spring, the next following few months, they went on and messed with the clocks and sprang forward. So it was like somebody's at the instrument panel on this. Who's messing with that? So
And
that's
why?
what, yeah, and that's where the debate started happening because then people were like, they liked it. Some people like not messing with the clocks. It kept it even,
Yeah.
because they think about kids getting up early for school in the dark, which you get, or coming home and it's getting darker earlier for their safety or whatever.
Yeah.
Just all kinds of things because it used to be done for, like they said, the farmers, for harvesting and everything. It helped them to, like it was more around an agricultural culture sphere that was important. So people were, there's farmers, but they got equipment with lights on now. Like they don't really need to
Right.
try to work with or beat the sun.
I've also heard them say, "Oh, it's for the golfers." It's like, really?
Now that I believe, and I think the golfers, in air quotes, are at the instrument panel. Okay.
4?
Yes. But yeah, so I don't know. Like it's not a big deal to me personally. I mean, it's always like what's always what we've known. So it helps when spring's coming, when fall's coming, and you kind of quietly celebrate that just by something like daylight savings time. I don't know about you. What do you think?
And again, yeah, the fact that it's not, I mean, when you're setting your thought pattern around the time frame of the year, when it doesn't exactly fall near the same day or whatever, it does kind of throw you off. So, because you're thinking, I know we're in the fall now, but have we? Did I miss when we were supposed to change the clocks back? Did we do that yet? I don't know. Did we? I don't know. We know now that it's coming up, like you said, in just a couple of weeks, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it. So I guess I could go either way if they decide that they don't want to do it anymore. Whatever. If we continue on with this is what we know, so that's fine. But it does kind of make you skip a step sometimes when it doesn't fall near the time frame because it's always like the 22nd. I thought either the
Mm.
21st or the 22nd of March and September. But then if the clock doesn't change right, then it just confuses you. It
Yeah.
confuses me, I guess.
No, I think that's by design. They like to confuse us. But no, seriously, so it wouldn't bother you if they either way.
No, I don't. I mean, I say that without knowing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it wouldn't bother me, but a couple years from now, I'd be like, this really hugs. I'm not too fond of this. So,
Yeah.
what do you think? Do you think it would bother you or?
I mean, not enough to make noise about it. I would be probably quietly frustrated because it's just like they're changing one more thing that,
Yeah.
that's just there. It's just kind of what it is. I just really didn't feel like it was much of a subject or topic to get fired up over. And that's just one more thing in my estimation that's a little taxing because it's one more thing for people to be controversial about, which that's their business. That's your
Yeah.
prerogative, but is it really that big a deal? I mean, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just adds to stress. It's like, don't
Yeah.
get stressed about it. It's not that big of a deal. But I guess if you have to get up with the sun, that might affect you. Like if your job affects, needs the sun or whatever, and that's really how it's based, maybe that
Yeah.
would, affect your life. You mentioned something about the kiddos and going to school, I don't know. Huh. But it's interesting too about the fact that, we think about DST here, but it's really around the world. A lot of places do it, recognize it. And there's some that don't. I believe Egypt is the only African country that observes DTS or DST, sorry.
Really?
Yeah. Yep, they're the only
Okay.
African country. And there's other places like, I believe, Iceland, Turkey, Azerbaijan. I love that name. That word is so cool.
She goes,
Azerbaijan.
I just wanted to say
I just wanted to say it.
it.
Also, here stateside, Hawaii and Arizona, they do not observe. As you mentioned, there's a few here stateside that don't observe it. So, but I think there's a small spot in Arizona that does. So that has to be kind of different for the population there. If you go across the street and we do, you go back across the street and we don't, it might be, a little confusing.
Yes.
Yeah. There are different reasons for not observing it as well. Like we've mentioned some of the ones for why people do, but some say it's for health concerns, climate issues, safety. Some it's their religious affiliation that affects not doing it. So there's all sorts of reasons out there for the population for why they do or don't.
That's right. And of course, like we just said a couple different times, we're preparing for this discussion that is this phenomena is a couple weeks off. So by the time you hear it, Orchard Archivers, it'll be a couple days off.
Right?
So, definitely will be getting darker sooner. I think it's around, the sun starts going down, it starts going down about 5:36. It's still up, but it's starting
Yeah.
to get that look like it's starting to go fall into evening, and you think, oh, and then when it does get dark, like it's straight up, you feel like it's been dark forever. Like you're like, you look at
Yeah.
the clock and you're like, it's only 8 o'clock. Feels like midnight.
You're not lying. It really does go fast. It seems
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's still the same 24-hour period, but it feels like things are just different. So I
Yeah.
don't know. It may really affect your life more than you think if we didn't fall forward or spring forward or fall back.
Yeah, because you think about even like with like high schools, which again I don't even hear that much about games and stuff. We are child free happily, so we don't. I mean, we're not clicked into that realm.
Yeah.
But we do have friends because we're Gen Xers. We have friends that have younger kids or teenagers, young adults as children now, and I mean, it just seems like the school culture is different. But I mean, like when we were going to school, it was all about football games on Friday nights or on the weekends, Saturdays. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know, just even the ambiance of going to a game in the fall, it would get dark. Like we were saying, you start getting dark at 6 o'clock, 6:30, whenever the game would start. And it was completely night
Yeah.
within an hour.
Yep.
And they
Yep.
throw the lights on the field and everything, and it's just the whole atmosphere. I mean, I guess they still do that everywhere. You just don't hear about it. So,
Yeah. Well, I think they don't call it Friday Night Lights for no reason, right? I mean, because
yeah.
it's high school football. I don't think anybody, well, I say this not knowing, but I think the majority of high schools do play Friday nights.
Okay.
They might get into championships and play like maybe Saturdays, but I think the majority play on Friday nights for their main about high school football. Yeah, so the lights would come right on, and that's a very nostalgic time right there. I mean, you mentioned that. That's nostalgic. Oh my goodness.
There it
That's the
is.
last time we went to a high school football game was when we were in high school. Wow.
Yes, we'll give ourselves 20 cool points for that memory. I don't even know.
It was cool though, wasn't it? We really did get into that. Mom would take us. I think she took us at least 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, and of course we went with our girl squad.
That's right, the girl squad.
I love
So,
it.
anytime we can bring up a topic and bring them into it, we're doing it. Shameless Gen Xers for sure.
And Carmelicious goodness all the way around.
You talk about, and you think fall time? Caramel apples.
Yes.
We just go hand in hand with this time. Sorry.
It's our season.
That's right.
Well, we've combed through pretty much our memories, some brief introduction of our memories of what daylight savings time means to us or whatever. Really was shocked that it's turned out to be kind of a ridiculous invention of the powers that be. So we did not realize that, but it is in place. So it doesn't matter, I guess, either way. If they keep it, do away with it, we'll hopefully adjust to it, whichever way it goes. So, if they do away with it, we have our memories of it. But daylight savings is such an interesting concept, and I'm glad we took a few minutes this week to actually talk about it and pull out of our mind what we just take for granted because it happens, to actually talk about it and give our thoughts on it. So
yeah, get ready for that extra hour, huh?
Yes, so they better not screw with it here in a couple days. Oh, yes, yeah, screw with it because then we get the hour.
There you go.
You get the hour back.
And that's it for this week's episode. To make sure that you never miss out on another second of our Carmelicious podcast, listen wherever you get your podcast fix. Bye for now, and thanks so much for listening.